Costa Rican, or as white people call us, Mexican. I don't know why, if you speak Spanish, people call you Mexican in North America, you know? Doesn't matter where you're from, they call you Mexican. Nothing against Mexicans. I love Mexican. I actually lived in Mexico. Consider myself a bit of an eternal immigrant. I lived in Costa Rica, where I'm from, Peru, El Salvador, then moved to Mexico, Montreal, and Toronto, all because of my dad's job. My dad's a drug lord. Your dad too? Oh man, I love it. I love Toronto. I moved here just over 10 years ago and came here to university, did finance. But after it, it's so hard getting a job in Toronto. So hard, man. I know you're waving. I know. Canadians ask very hard questions. Like very specific questions in interviews, all with acronyms. I was in my first interview and they were like, do you have any designations? Do you have an MBA? Do you have a CFA? Do you have a CA? I'm like, CFA, ¿qué pasa? ¿Qué es esto? ¿Qué estás? Do you have a PMP? Do you have a PhD? Like, well, as a kid I had ADD. In university I contracted an STD. And at nights I watch HBO and MTV. And in Toronto I take that TTC, you know? Very hard getting a job here. Oh my God, especially because Canadians, very professional. You guys answer questions thoroughly. 1-2 words max in every single question. Very professional, right? Latinos, we can't answer like that. We'll just say a bunch of stuff, hopefully something's correct, you know? You ask a Canadian, what do you do? Second grade math teacher. Concise. You ask another Canadian, what do you do? Mechanical engineer. Thorough. You ask a Latino, what do you do? What are you looking for? What are you looking for, my friend? If it doesn't exist, we can invent it. You guys put us to shame. You guys are concise. We don't speak the language either. It's hard. We get lost in translation all the time. I find that when we get asked a question in English, we don't have enough vocabulary, right? So we develop these defense mechanisms to answer questions. You ask us a question in English, and we answer it half words, half a sound. We always complete the questions, the answers with a sound. I remember the first time I was late for work. Just got into Canada, just arrived here. First time I was late for work, my boss was like, hey, why are you late? And I was like, well, the subway, an emergency. And I was like, what? we can't communicate. Lost in translation all the time. I ended up working at a bank. And I loved it when they brought people from South America to work with us here in North America, because they just have enough English to get by professionally, but suck to get by socially, right? No English. And I remember this lady, Maria, from Bogota, Colombia. Yes, Colombia's in the house, and she was here first week in Canada, working with us in the investments team, and she was very excited that week, very proud, because her son, Ernesto, had just been accepted into Yale University. You guys know Yale, Ivy League. And then she was telling all of us in Spanish. We were in a circle, and then the Canadian VP walks in, and he's like, hey, what's all this fuss about? What's going on? Tell me. She's like, oh my God, Mr. Smith. Let me tell you, I'm so proud of my son Ernesto because he's in jail. And the VP's like, what, in jail? She's like, yes, for 4 years. And he's like, oh my God. Is he okay? So hard making friends in jail, you know? We get lost in translation. The guy's like, oh, does he need help? She's like, yeah. Excuse my accent, the University of Yale in Connecticut, you know. He's like, oh, you mean Yale. She's like, just Yale, same thing. At the end of it, the guy's like, well, that is fantastic, but that's pretty cool. What's your son studying? She's like, nothing, selling drugs. What? We got lost in translation. I mean, it's hard. And the first time, very special moment, my career here in Canada, my history in Canada, first time I made out with a white girl. Beautiful, beautiful. I was in the club, it was kind of boring, and then they played some Spanish music, reggaeton, Daddy Yankee. I'm like, this is a sign. Gasolina, I gotta do something. We start dancing, we're dancing, we make out, boom, I'm like, I'm in the game. This is beautiful. It was like, she was excited, she thought she learned how to dance salsa. I thought I was getting my papers, you know? I was super fucking excited. And then we're outside of the club, 3 a.m., and I'm like, how do I ask this girl? I barely know English, I knew a little bit of English, she knew a little bit of Spanish. I'm like, how do I ask this girl if she wants to come home with me, you know? And I'm like, all right, whatever comes out. I'm like, excuse me. Excuse me, mamacita. Do you want to come back to my house quick? She's like, what? I don't even know you. Do you even have a job? Like, did you even go to university? And I'm like, of course, yes, I went to jail. Thank you guys, I'm Stephan Dyer.